Hello Songbirds, this is Kerri Ho, vocal coach at thesongbirdtree.com. Today we're going to have a lot of fun because we're going to do a song called Skyscraper from Demi Lovato. Let's get straight in and have some fun. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're going to go through sort of like the different sections of the songs and just talk about distinctive things that she puts into the song to make it sound so amazing. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is compare verse 1 and the first chorus with the way she sings the verse 2 and the second chorus, because they are sung quite differently. The very first thing is that in verse 1 and the chorus, she uses a very cool technique with her breathing. Okay, so she actually uses a little bit of breathiness throughout her words to sort of give it that added vulnerability. And she also does this interesting thing where she releases her excess breath on certain words. Let me show you what I mean. So instead of just singing, skies are crying, I am watching, catching teardrops in my hands. Instead of doing that, she puts a little bit of breathiness into it to make it a little bit more sadder and vulnerable, like this. Skies are crying, I am watching, catching teardrops in my hands. So can you hear how I've just sort of put a little bit of breath through there to give it that vulnerability? Now, don't overdo this. So don't make it so breathy that it actually sounds like you are running out of breath. So for example, skies are crying, I am watching. You know, that is not what she does, okay? So what you want to do is use your normal chest voice as a base, as a foundation, and then just add like 10% or 20% of breath into it, okay? Have a play around with that and see what you like. All right, so that's how she puts a little bit of cool vulnerability into her verse 1. She continues it along in the first chorus. So if you listen to it carefully, she doesn't go straight for a full belt. She doesn't go, you can take everything I am. She doesn't do that straight away. She actually starts it with a little bit of breathiness again. You can take everything I am. You can break everything I have. All right? And then when she sings the next line, you'll see that she actually really takes it right back on the word glass. Like I'm made of glass. Right? Which is a bit different to how she sings the second chorus, which I'll show you later. Now, what was I talking about before when I was talking about the whole excess breath thing? This is what I mean, and I love this. She puts it at the end of certain words. So for example, at the end of that first chorus, where she sings like I'm made of glass, like I'm made of paper, like a skyscraper, that bit there, right? She puts a little bit of this excess breath out on the words skyscraper, for example. So, something like this. Like a skyscraper, like a skyscraper. All right? If she didn't do that, it would sound like this. Like a skyscraper. Like a skyscraper, all right, which is fine, but it's kind of boring, all right? But she doesn't. She does this skyscraper, like a skyscraper. Okay, I probably overdid it a little there just to sort of demonstrate it to you, but go and check out what she does. You'll see what I mean. And I encourage you to play around with it. It really does make the song a lot more interesting, and it really does give her that added vulnerability. So there you go, that's verse 1 in the first chorus, all right? And her interesting use of breath. It's really based on a foundation of good chest voice use, but with about 10 or 20% of breath here and there, and that excess release of the breath on certain notes. But in the second verse, she kind of takes a different approach. She still starts with the breathiness in verse 2, but then she kind of adds a bit more intensity into the sound and takes it up a notch and sort of gives us this feeling of the fact that she's angry, you know, this person's really hurt her. While in verse 1 it was more about, you know, being hurt and oh, poor me. Verse 2 is a bit more like, man, I don't like you, I hate you. All right, that sort of thing, okay? So she starts it vulnerable with that breath, you know, as the smoke clears, I awaken and untangle you from me. Now here, she starts to put a little bit more conviction into it, you know, a bit of anger here in this question. Would it make you feel better to watch me while I bleed? Right? There's a bit of conviction there, a little bit more chest voice. And in the fourth line of the verse, she really takes it up a notch by even changing the melody, okay? And she gets prepared for the second chorus where she fully belts it out using full chest voice, okay? So she goes, all my windows are still broken and I'm standing on my feet. And then she goes straight into a fully belted chorus. In the first chorus, she was singing, you can take everything I have, all right? Now she's like, that's it. She's really going to say what she means now. And she uses a full belt sound. You can take everything I am. You can take everything I have, like I'm made of glass. All right, so you can see especially the difference between her, the way she executes the word glass. All right, on the second chorus, it's belted, like I'm made of glass. All right, in the first chorus, it wasn't. It was breathy, like I'm made of glass. See the difference? Okay, so that's what I mean by she just, you know, fully kind of belts it out. Now, how are you to practice this? All right, this is what I suggest. You need to practice it with a sob. Okay, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go and check out my How to Belt series, and I think it's part 3. I basically show you how to use the technique of sob to get a really thick sound in your chest voice without screaming, without, you know, killing yourself, basically, okay? Without any sob, it would sound a bit like this. You can take everything I am. You can break everything I am. Okay, sorry, I probably sang all the wrong words. Anyway, that was me straining it. That's me, you know, belting it out in chest voice, but I'm pulling my chest voice up and it's not open at all. With the sob, however, it opens everything else up. So what you want to do is practice it on a mom, mom, mom with a sob, like this. Mom, 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 mom. Mom, 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 mom. Okay, and the more sob you can put into this as you practice it, the more you're going to be able to get this technique of using the sob to have a very healthy belt, okay? So once you've got that happening and you really feel like, yeah, you've mastered that feeling of the mom, then you put the words into that exact same space, okay? So where you sung, mom, 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 now you will sing, you can take everything I am. Okay, so you can hear how I put a lot of sob in there, okay? And you know what? Funnily enough, this works so well for this song because the song is about pain and heartbreak and all of that. So it's actually quite appropriate for you to exaggerate the sob on that. But if you think that, you know, I've overdone it and you don't like it with too much sob, you can always strip it back, all right? So the key is to practice it with the exaggerated sob, but then adjust the amount of sob to your liking, okay? But Demi Lovato actually uses a lot of it, okay? This keeps her throat open so that she can belt it full out without straining, without feeling pain in her throat. And it also keeps that vulnerability factor and that, you know, what she's trying to express, which is anger and frustration and hurt. All right. And then she goes into the bridge, which is pretty, you know, standard, just her singing it in chest voice. You run, 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 I'm gonna stay right here, watch you disappear. All right, nothing too difficult about this. But then she goes into finishing on her last chorus, which is fantastic. I love this, okay? She starts it by pulling it right back, okay? So where I talked about her using breath to add in that vulnerability in verse 1, here she takes it up a notch in terms of vulnerability, okay? So she brings it even more back. She probably inserts a little bit more breath into it, probably about 30-40% now. And she sings, you can take everything I have. You can break everything I am. So, you know, you can so just feel her pain, right? And just, yeah, you know what I mean, okay? So it's really great the way she does that. And I really encourage you to experiment with just a little bit more breath in that section, but of course supported. And then, you know, you think the song's over. No, not with Demi Lovato. She goes and decides that she's going to fully hit a top G in a very, very strong mixed voice, okay? So I'm sure that a lot of you who have actually sung this song before have asked, you know, how to hit that top G strongly. And so this is what I want to give you a couple of tips on to cover right now. So the first thing is this: before you can actually tackle hitting that top G in a strong way, you need to actually develop your head voice tone there first. So for example, if you can't sing a top G with a forward and free head voice, you're not going to actually be able to be ready to tackle what I'm about to show you, okay? So just be careful there, all right? So if you're in that position, don't be discouraged. Just go away and work on your head voice, okay? You can go and check out my videos on how to sing in head voice as well to work on that. But okay, for those of you who are ready and you've got already a strong head voice sound there at the top G, this is what you are to do, okay? I don't want you to try and fully belt this out in full voice, you know, from the very beginning, because inevitably you are going to hurt yourself, okay? What you want to do is use your strong head voice as a basis, and we're going to add some twang in there and also a little bit of sob in there to get it into this strong mixed tone sound, okay? So let's start with the top G, just singing it on a head voice. And what you want to do is try and sing it in such a way that it is so open and so there's a lot of vibrato going on, okay? That's what I'd like you to try and do, because with that feeling of freedom and openness is what you need as a basis in order to hit this note properly. Otherwise, you're just going to be straining it and killing yourself, okay? All right, so with that as a basis, okay, now what you want to do is think of it as it starts off back and then slowly you're going to bring it forward into your nose in order to put a bit of a nasty twang sound in it, okay? If you don't know what I'm talking about when I talk about twang, once again, go and check out my How to Belt series, videos 1, 2, and 3, and somewhere in there I do talk about twang, okay? And all the other stuff that I cover will be great foundations before you practice twang as well. All right, so assuming you've gone through all that, all right, what you want to do is start with a head voice that's sort of here, and then you're going to bring it forward so that it's right here in your nose, like this. Okay, so you can see how it started quite soft and then it went woof, all right, right in your face, bang, okay? And that's kind of what you want to do. That's what twang's about. It's right in your face, okay? So I'll show you one more time. Okay, we're going to sing it on the word try this time. Try. Okay, and you can see right now I've got a lot of vibrato in it. That's because I'm just trying to keep it free, all right? All right, so what you want to do is when you're actually singing the song, okay, you want to put a little bit of the sob into it as well to give it that little bit more of an edge in the sound, okay? All right, so it ends up being like this when you put it all together. I'm going to go from the line like I'm made of glass before she goes up into that top G. Like I'm made of glass, like I'm made of paper, go on and try to tear me down. All right, so there you go. What I did was I tackled that section with lots and lots of twang, put it really, really forward, and I put a little bit of sob into it. I probably could have put a bit more sob into it just to make it even more edgier, okay? And there you go. That is how to tackle this song. All right, so have fun with that, people. It is a difficult song, so take your time, practice it in sections, and be patient and persevere. And as I said to you before, if you don't have a strong head voice yet, make sure you work on that before you go into trying to put twang and sob and all of that sort of thing. Okay, now here's a question for you. Would you like me to make a video of me covering this song? If you would, then I would appreciate it if you could let me know by clicking on the thumbs up and liking this video. If I get a certain number of likes, then I will do a video where I do the cover. Any comments, questions, just put them below. And also don't forget, I am a vocal coach and I give in-studio lessons as well as lessons on Skype with singers all around the world. So if you would like more help with doing this sort of thing or anything to do with your voice and your vocal development, do make sure you go and have a look at my website. Just click on the link below and you can find out a little bit more about my singing coaching as well. Okay, well I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you again really soon. This is Kerri Ho, vocal coach at thesongbird.com, where we get grounded, take flight, and sing.